What's good, y'all, man? We got Film Theory, man. Did Thor post-credit scene, just set up, spoiler. Thor Love and Thunder, man. I give it an 8. You know, I saw it yesterday, man. You know, I give it an 8. Let me know kind of below, man, which I give Thor Love and Thunder. Let me know kind of below, you know, the rates and shit. 1 out of 10, you know, is 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, you know. Let me know kind of below. Me, I give it an 8 though. But yeah, about to check the video out. Like it up, sub, and yeah, let's get it.
This video contains spoilers for Thor Love and Thunder. I am absolutely serious. We worked super hard to get you a Thor Love and Thunder theory up as soon as possible because we knew that this one was going to leave you with some big questions, and we wanted to get you some big answers to those big questions. But to do that, we got to cover some big spoilers. So you all ready? Great. Let's go.
Damn. Come on. Oh yeah, I like how that look. Yeah, type shit. Yeah.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that hopes you're mule near that screen so you can hammer the subscribe button. Last time we covered Thor Love and Thunder, we predicted that the trailer's use of the song Sweet Child of Mine was a big clue that the whole movie was gonna boil down to a plot point that hadn't yet been revealed: a secret baby. And it turns out we were right on the money. Well, maybe not on the money, maybe slightly adjacent to the money. You see, the big bad of this movie is Gore, a regular
Gore a little scary, but no, he did his thing though. He did motherfucking thing.
Super-powered alien guy who's got himself a big old vendetta against the gods. Why would he have that, you may ask? Well, shortly after having to watch his young daughter tragically die from dehydration on their desert planet, he happened to encounter one of the actual superhuman beings that his species worshipped as their gods. And, what is it they always say? Don't meet your heroes? Yeah, Gore learned the hard
They will put this motherfucker. I ain't watched Boys though, but they will put him though.
way that a lot of these guys kind of suck, and that all the praying that he and his daughter did for her survival was nothing. Their life of hardship utterly meaningless. But now that Gore has found himself a magic sword that can kill.
Yep, he killed that motherfucker. He like, that ain't gonna lie. If y'all saw Thor Love and Thunder, that motherfucker, man, he was moving too much, man. The effects, I don't know, man. Man, his head started moving too much, man. I ain't gonna lie to that. I ain't know he was in the movie or not. Shit, no cap.
The gods, he plans to do exactly
like it is, man. He was talking. I'm like, I don't know, you in the movie or you in the green screen still. Which one? Take shit. Yeah, they like, fuck it, we gonna put this bitch anywhere.
Leave that for a little bit, at least. He realizes that this sort of mission would take kind of a long time, you know, bumping off gods one by one. Not exactly the scalable solution that Gore here was looking for. So instead, he has himself
Gore wasn't playing, boy.
A scheme to get the job done all at once, Thanos style. He plans to find the cosmic being Eternity and wish
he did though. Which he did at the end. I mean, he still did his mission. He still did his mission, even though they supposed to stop the mission. He still did his mission, but he just bring back his daughter. That's not a thing though. Now, well, if he didn't do that, I don't know what the fuck would happen. He probably like you know, the end game type shit.
All the gods away because apparently the center of the universe just grants wishes now. Gotta admit,
it probably like the end game. Shit, part 3.
Things are starting to feel a lot like a Dragon Ball arc. The only thing missing are some androids. Oh yeah, I guess they got them too. Side note, is it just me or does it feel like there are way too many instant genocide buttons here in this universe? Anyway, because they gotta wrap this thing up in one movie, Jane sacrifices herself during the final battle.
Oh yeah, she died, yeah. Cause you're like, man, fuck the medicine, man. I'm about to say my man, folk. Type shit.
The love between her and Thor is enough to change Gore's mind. Instead of wishing everyone else dead, he chooses to wish for his daughter to come back to life. But because he was mortally
yeah, that's what I said. But I about to say, like, if it wasn't her, what you gonna do? Endgame part 3? Bring out the Avengers back?
wounded during the battle, Thor swears that he's gonna protect the child himself, which I'm now realizing is meant to be a thematic rhyme with Odin adopting the abandoned baby Loki on the battlefield, which therefore brings Thor's inheritance arc back around for good, and it's really smartly done, okay? Also, my recording booth just really smells like onions. So,
damn.
like I said, right about a child being pivotal to the story, wrong about who. But then again, there was really no way to call this one based on deep comic lore, because Gore's daughter? Yeah, totally new thing. Gore didn't have a daughter. Thor doesn't traditionally have a daughter.
Oh, Gordon had a daughter, so it was new.
There isn't some
So I mean, you know, MC going switching around.
popular alt character that she'd easily map onto. This is a completely new, unpredictable angle. So good on you, Taika Waititi.
So it's basically like a new character.
Way to be one of the only people in Hollywood to have original ideas. The only other main context we've got, at least for now, is that her name is apparently Love. She's described as being a child born of eternity. She has superhuman powers of her own, and she can wield Stormbreaker. So my main theory today is asking the question, what does all of this mean? Well, I'll tell you one thing it means right off the bat. It means that Chris Hemsworth's been giving away this twist for weeks, and nobody could tell.
That's my daughter as well. She plays the character of Love.
It also means that the real love story in this movie was Disney's love of recycling the crusty old guy takes care of the cute young thing plot. I mean, hey, if it worked for Mandalorian, it'll apparently work for everything else. Literally everything else. But seriously, you know what I love to do after one of these movies. Look at where all the pieces have landed on the table and try to predict what Disney's next move might be. And between the introduction of not just one, but two superpowered beings in Hercules and Love, there's certainly a lot of story potential here. So what's it all mean? That, my friends, is what I aim to explore today. First, let's talk a little bit more about Hercules. We meet our first new powerhouse thanks to the god-filled Omnipotent City, which was basically a whole sequence screaming, please go frame by frame through me. The heroes even make sure to wave to an off-screen god of carpentry. I see what you guys did there. Knowing how rationally the internet tends to respond to the media they consume, I'm sure none of that's gonna cause any angry headlines. On the plus side,
Nah, you funny.
I guess it means that Ghost Rider will be getting his reboot sooner rather than later. But apart from being fodder for like a million clickbait thumbnails with red arrows and circles, the other reason for visiting Omnipotent City was to set up a post-credit scene that introduces the demigod that lots of fans have been asking about for ages. In that post-credit scene, an angry Zeus is embarrassed that Thor and company bested him earlier in the movie. And so
Yeah, you like ugly. I got you, daddy. I got you, dad. Don't worry, I got you. You goddamn bitch, I got you.
So Zeus sends his son Hercules to go in and please beat up Thor in a sequel. Now obviously they're just setting him up as a nemesis for Thor 5, or potentially a morally questionable anti-Thor.
Nah, it's sound up for it's sound up for Thor though.
Thereby making him a prime
Thunderbolt.
candidate for the Thunderbolts movie that they just announced, where everyone gets their own version of a Dark Avenger. But there is one
It's the hair I get their own version of Dark Avenger.
Thunderbolts movie that they just announced, where everyone gets their own version of a
Marvel Studios delivering Suicide Squad like villains movie.
Dark Avenger. But there is one completely bonkers thing that they might have planned for him that would literally break the internet. Let me explain. I assume we all just kind of know who Hercules is, right? Thanks to everyone from Disney to The Rock taking their own stab at him. He's a hero from Greek mythology, half-human child of Zeus known for big muscles, completing 12 labors, and sometimes wearing a cool hat that's made out of a lion. Well, the Marvel version is, pretty much the exact same guy from the myths. Basically how Thor shares a lot of similarities with the mythical Norse Thor. And when it comes to the comics, Herc is kind of a fan favorite second stringer, largely because he was one of the earliest examples of Stan Lee and company creating a playfully meta take on real world pop culture. See, in the 1950s and 60s, the genre of sword and sandal movie
We kind of, you know what? I ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, that's y'all movie back then. That's all I gotta say. I about to say some shit. Hell nah, I ain't gonna do that y'all today.
These were all the rage because of their low budgets and shockingly high return.
But this, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Just look at it. Just one good second. Just look at it. You know what I'm saying? Just look at the motherfucker.
All a cheap producer had to do was hire some Mediterranean bodybuilders to fight in skimpy togas in front of old Greco-Roman ruins, and then just watch as the cash flowed in. Kids love the mythical action-adventure, and the moms bringing them to the theaters loved the view, so to speak. The most famous actor to come out of these was Steve Reeves, who starred in a whole series of the sword and sandal films through the late 50s and 60s. His most iconic role was Hercules, and looking at that iteration of the hero compared to Marvel's version, the inspiration there is pretty pretty obvious. Since then, Herc's been an active character, a fixture on a lot of different teams in the Marvel Universe, and an on-again, off-again frenemy to both Thor and the Hulk. But how does any of this apply to the MCU and Herc's place in it moving forward? Well, despite being set up as an obvious foil for Thor in the next outing, he might appear sooner than that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow shows up in She-Hulk because, well, that's been a thing before. He could also make an appearance with the Young Avengers, of all places, considering in the comics he's currently in a relationship with the Young Avenger Marvel Boy, and he has a history of teaching younger heroes. But here is my wild swing for the fences theory. This one is pretty crazy, but stick with me on it. Did you know that the live-action Aladdin was actually in the process of getting a sequel? Yeah, I was surprised too. Anyway, the director, Guy Ritchie, recently stepped away from that project. I can't really imagine
Damn, he stepped away that motherfucker.
why. Oh, wow! So, as expected, he moved on to something new. It kind of got overlooked with so many other exciting announcements that Disney's made recently, but he's now doing a live-action remake for Disney's Hercules. Makes sense, going from one classic Disney musical remake to another. But here's the part that really caught my attention. This remake is being produced by the Russo brothers, the brilliant directing duo that gave us Infinity War and Endgame. That's a bit of a weird pivot, don't you think? Superhero guys whose directing and production work have only ever really centered around action stuff, suddenly working on a Disney live-action musical remake? Disney would also suddenly have two live-action Hercs running around, which, I mean, that alone would just confuse people. What if this is the moment that the traditional Disney movie musical crosses over into the MCU? A live-action singing, dancing Hercules in his own adventure, who also moonlights alongside the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Warriors of Asgard, all played by the same guy. A guy, mind you, who has himself a great singing voice and a self-professed love of the Muppets.
Oh, there goes Mr. Humbug, there goes Mr.
That's
I mean,
him.
it'd be pretty darn crazy, but then again, 3 generations of Spider-Man just got together in the same movie, so at this point, anything is possible. And I do mean anything.
Tallulah, come on, the bus is about to leave.
Tried Little Caesar's thin crust
Damn,
pepperoni pizza.
that pizza look good as hell. No cap.
It's the pizza with the crispy crunch.
I got a thin crust. What is this, man?
Left 7 years from now, just remember who called it. Who am I kidding? I just want to put this into live action.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the
On the big screen. To everyone else leaving that theater, the true star of the show was Love. And to me, the theory potential for a brand new character like this is infinite. To state the obvious, she's a resurrected dead person, and
Yeah, she is though, I ain't gonna lie.
an adopted commoner being raised by a noble. I mean, that makes her symbolically loaded even before the movie explicitly calls her the child born of eternity and gives her cosmic powers. Really, she acts as a merger of two of Phase 4's dominant story threads: big cosmic existential questions on the nature of faith in the universe, and young heroes inheriting complicated legacies. But just because Love is a new character created for the movies doesn't mean that we can't necessarily look at the comics to find some similarities. Because believe you me, there is plenty to see here. Enough that we can
Damn.
pretty confidently chart where Love is going to be headed as a character. See, cosmically powered kid is a story trope that Marvel Comics has leaned on a lot, especially recently. Plus, Marvel's been using its comics publishing arm as a sort of test kitchen for MCU storylines for the last 15 years or so, which makes these stories definitely worth looking at when you're trying to predict what's coming down the pipe. In particular, there are two that seem to really match up to where Thor and Love are at the end of this new movie. The first is the creatively titled Civil War II, where we see a team led by Iron Man and another team led by Captain Marvel at each other's throats
I got the comic books too. Type
over
shit.
Ulysses Kane, an inhuman teenager with the ability to see the future. There's a lot of disagreement over whether or not to use Ulysses' power to stop crime before it happens. Basically the plot of Moon Knight. Throughout the conflict, Ulysses' power continues to grow stronger until Eternity himself intervenes, offering Ulysses a place to stay amongst the cosmic pantheon. One could say that Ulysses' power made him a, quote, child of eternity, just like how Love seems to have the potential to achieve cosmic god levels of power in her adulthood. Put a pin in that one, we're gonna come back to it later. The second story I think we should look at is actually one that's currently ongoing in the main Avengers comic book. It involves a powerful cosmic force called the Star Brand. This is a magical tattoo that sears itself into a host, granting that person nearly infinite power limited only by their imagination. But here's the thing. Though the Star Brand concept has existed in Marvel lore since the mid-1980s, it's always been in unimportant alternate universes. But then all of a sudden it was introduced into the main 616 continuity in 2013 in an Avengers storyline called The Last White Event. This was done as a self-defense mechanism for the multiverse, with these white events zapping random Earths and granting them Star Brands in an attempt to stop universes colliding and destroying one another in events called incursions. Now, where have I heard that word before?
The larger the footprint you leave behind, the greater the risk of an incursion.
Yep, this is one of those storylines that the MCU is currently using to blueprint
Oh, okay.
the movies. It's not stopping there. The Star Brand has since changed hands several times, and in the Avengers comics coming out right now, it has ended up in the possession of an orphaned girl named Brandy, a girl who, wouldn't you know, is adopted by the Avengers, including Thor. And if that wasn't clear enough, Star Brands are granted to the user through lightning bolts. Very thematic for a new character introduced in a Thor movie, huh? But the real cherry on top of this evidence sundae, this Avengers storyline and the girl with the Star Brand are both creations of writer Jason Aaron, same guy who created Gore, same guy who created Jane Foster's Mighty Thor, and the same guy who created the dead Celestial that the Avengers are currently using as their base. This guy's fingerprints are all over the MCU right now. The way I see it, the most exciting option may just be a fusion of both of these stories. Love gets a Star Brand, or perhaps she'll be revealed to be the Star Brand. Either way, this child of eternity has near infinite cosmic power, which catches the attention of everyone's favorite star cop, Captain Marvel. Remember, she only pops in for matters that are deemed really important for the universe's survival. Child with infinite powers? Yeah, feels like it could be a biggie. This ultimately leads to another civil war with Captain Marvel and Thor duking it out over the Child of Eternity in Phase 5 or 6. I mean, there's already a whole episode of What If dedicated to how much fun a Captain Marvel versus Thor matchup would be. The writing is on the wall, people. That said, there is one final route that all of this could go. One that, well, I noticed a few details that set off some alarms. It is a wild stretch, but, you'll see. One other famous special power child storyline is the much older Celestial Madonna saga from the 1970s. This was written by Steve Englehart, whose work inspired a lot of WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Here's
Okay. Big W. Hey, both of them was good too. No cap. Both of them was fire.
the abridged version, and I swear to you, I swear, I am not making a single word of this up. Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy marries the ghost of an alien tree, who's reanimated the body of the recently deceased Avenger Swordsman, aka Jack the Sword Guy that we saw in the recent Hawkeye show. This somehow makes Mantis the prophesied Celestial Madonna, and her child with tree ghost Swordman is the Celestial Messiah. Seems like a story that's best left forgotten with the 70s, right? Well, Marvel disagrees. The Celestial Messiah is an eco-warrior that just recently returned in a central role of the 2020 event series Empire. Now, this story was insane. Honestly, I wouldn't have even brought it up if it weren't for one thing. It is one of the definitive Kang the Conqueror storylines. Character Marvel is clearly setting up to be their next Thanos. The Celestial Madonna saga introduced a lot of his mythology. It even featured one of the first major instances of two Kang variants fighting, with the Conqueror facing off against Rama-Tut, a version of Kang who was a pharaoh in ancient Egypt. Now, all of this seems completely random, but Rama-Tut has already been referenced in Moon Knight with some Easter eggs. More importantly, though, they make it a point in Love and Thunder to remind us that Love's weapon of choice, Stormbreaker, has a handle that's made from Groot's arm. And that arm is still alive, sentient, and evidently growing. When planted in the ground, it takes root. Who knows? Maybe that whole alien tree messiah stuff could be on the table here too, with Love becoming the Celestial Madonna and Stormbreaker growing into the character that's trying to woo her. Sounds insane, and admittedly it is, but I mean, they're giving Wonder Man a show, for crying out loud. Did you even know that there was a character
Wonder Man. Nah, I heard about this shit. I don't know what to feel about this shit.
called Wonder Man?
I never heard of him day in my life, but
Because I didn't. So there you have it, loyal theorists. The two new characters introduced to Love and Thunder that are going to massively shake up the MCU moving forward. What's most exciting about this one is that they built the biggest story turn of the movie, and now easily the biggest new character turn for the Thor franchise moving forward, around a totally new story direction that was crafted specifically for the movies. Not taken from an existing comic, not taken from mythology, a new idea by the filmmaker.
Oh yeah, cause I mean, I don't read comic books anyway, but yeah.
That is a huge deal. That the MCU, of all things, could become the next place we start seeing as a source for new characters and stories instead of just bigger budget movie-length versions of old ones. That is something that we could have never predicted. But hey, one of the things I loved most about Thor: Love and Thunder
But hey,
was its amazing aesthetics. It was colorful, bright, and most of all, it was fun. It's the sort of movie that just makes you want to grab its poster and hang it up in your house. And luckily, with today's sponsor, Displate, you can do exactly that. Displates aren't
I ain't gonna lie.
means that changing out designs super
I ain't gonna lie type shit. If y'all know, y'all know.
easy.
If you don't, then you don't know. You know, you know.
Just take one displate off the magnet and replace it with a new one. Did Star Wars suddenly become cringe to you and now you want to change up your aesthetic to some One Piece? You can do that without having to rehang a bunch of stuff or worry about your walls. I wanted to keep my
Oh, no, that's fine.
walls recent, so I switched up my Loki displates for Thor. It took literally 30 seconds, and instantly it made my room feel fresh again. Displate has millions of designs available, with official art licensed from your favorite franchises. Do you like comics or the MCU? They have thousands of designs from both Marvel and DC. More a fan of film and TV? Displate's got you covered with artwork from Star Wars, The Witcher, and Stranger Things. Really into gaming? They've got more than enough of that one too. If any of this has caught your attention, click the link down in the description to get 25% off
I ain't 25.
any 1 to 2 displays,
25.
or 29% off 3 or
29. Even better.
more. Thankfully,
It go a little Oprah. Oh, that's it. 25, 29.
there's no code, no whatever. The discount's just going to be automatically applied at checkout if you click the link. But the deal is only for a limited time, so go check them out if you want some awesome art printed on metal that'll last you a lifetime. Again, that is 1 to 2 displates for 25% off, or 3 or more for 29% off just by clicking the link down in the description. And as always, my friends, remember, it's just a theory. A
Oh, film theory.
film theory. And cut.
Okay. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about the video. Let me know in the comment down below. Yeah, let me know, y'all. But hey, alright, like, sub, and yeah, alright, peace.